90% of us got our own list that we never asked God about.
Exactly.
And that's the truth of it. It's time to dump our list and let God give you a list. Actually, he's not going to give you a list. He's going to show you a vision, and he's going to present it in a person. It's going to make you go, huh, okay.
You're my girl. You're the type of woman to make a man get right.
Hey guys, we're back. We're going to hop right into this one because this is a double header question, and this may take a while.
And we get these type of questions all the time because y'all already know we have an age gap relationship.
Yep.
And I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but I'm still shocked at how many people struggle with this and how many people are interested in age gap relationships and how popular it is. I mean, maybe I'm not surprised. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I am. I don't know.
Well, go ahead and subscribe, hit the notification bell so we can get right into it. You don't want to miss me upload videos. All right, so we're going to start by reading both questions. Again, age gap thing, Cacie is older than me.
Am I?
And I am younger than Cacie, so we get a lot of questions from women about this. One thing I have noticed is that in certain countries in Africa, maybe all of Africa, it's taboo pretty much everywhere, I guess, maybe. But it seems to be a little stricter over in Africa about this topic because we get a lot of questions there. But let's read this one. They're both anonymous. Here we go. Hi, Jalen and Cacie. Hope y'all doing well safe. Let me skip down to the question. Okay, here we go. So there's this guy that has recently been popping up in my mind, and it's so random and weird, but what I keep remembering is his complimenting me at church before this whole pandemic started. I haven't spoken to him since. He is quite younger than me, though we're both young adults still. I try to push away the thought because of that fact alone. So I guess my question is, how do I move forward? I've been praying for the thought to go away, but nothing. LOL, I feel so strange right now. Anyway, I would like to be anonymous. And also shout out from Jamaica. Age gap is that of about a little less than 7 years.
Yeah.
Age gap, but they are both adults. That is also very important. We ask that question a lot. Next question, also someone anonymous. I'm afraid to date guys who are younger than me because my family and friends believe a guy should be older than me. I don't believe in this because there are guys I find attractive who are younger than me, are very mature and godly men, and I'm scared to date them because though people will think of me dating and marrying a younger guy. Very common question, very understandable. First off, we want to say this. We say this a lot. We are not advocates of age gap marriage.
No, we're not.
We're not people who just, our channel is not based around that. We only talk about it about once a year or when people ask questions, I guess. But we're not advocates of it. We simply happen to have one, and we help dispel the rumors or the concerns and the fears and things like that. But we're never going to say, oh, you should definitely do it. It's for everybody.
Because it's not.
But because the things that make marriage work have nothing to do with that.
Exactly.
All the age gap is going to do is possibly, depending on your mindset and the culture you're raised in, amplify issues. But an age gap marriage in of itself is no better or no worse than any other marriage by virtue of it being an age gap.
Exactly.
So let's start with that. But let's kind of get into these questions. Going back to the lady from Jamaica, well, I want to say this. This has nothing to do with the age gap part, but you're trying to pray the thoughts away. That's not really going to work. I'm just going to be honest with you. I've been there. I've tried that. We both tried that with each other. You're not really going to be able to pray the thoughts away. What you need to do is go to God and say, okay, show me the vision of this person. If let me put it like this. If you are in a place, and this is just blanket for anybody considering marrying someone or starting a relationship with someone, I would never start a relationship with someone, if I wasn't thinking about getting married to them. But I'd never start a relationship with someone if I didn't have a vision from God of who they were and where this thing was going to end up. When I got serious about Cacie, before I even went to her father to ask for her hand in marriage, and I even approached her, I went to God and said, show me a vision of Cacie. Show me her so that I can know and be confirmed in my heart that she is my wife to be. He showed me that vision, and I've been living off that vision ever since. So no matter what comes, what trials, what disappointments, whatever, I'm always convinced that I chose the right woman because of the vision of faith that he gave me, and I live by faith. That's what a believer does. So that's the number one thing. Instead of struggling with the thoughts of, I should be praying to start away because he's younger, just go to the Father about this particular guy and say, Lord, show me this person. What's going on here? It's the reason I can't shake it because it's from you. I've heard stories of people trying to shake it, but God was trying to set something up. So that could be the thing. Or can I just not shake it because it's my emotions and my hormones? It could be any number of things.
I think that we get so wrapped up in the package that is in that we don't see the value or we don't give credence to the maturity or the spirituality of a person. So once you remove that packaging, his age or her age as the what I'm looking for, the stumbling block, then you can see that person for who they really are and treat them as such. When it came to Jalen, you know, when I started developing feelings for him, yeah, it was weird. And I had the same concerns, you know, our age gap. And I was like, oh, this is not going to work because it's not acceptable, you know. And in my circle of friends and family, there was no one that I knew of that had an age gap relationship, especially with the vast difference as ours. And so I just didn't want to be controversial, honestly. I didn't want to be controversial, and I didn't want to be outside of God's will for my life. And then you hear so many negative things about age gap relationship, especially when the man is younger. And I know the concept of why we believe the man ought to be older is because he's a husbandman, and the role that a husbandman takes, it takes a mature person to walk that out. And it takes on a very father type role, a nurturing type role. And so when we think that if the husband is younger than the wife, how can he do that? Because we think that because she's older, she has more wisdom or she has more life experience, so she know a lot more. And that's not necessarily true. And yeah, she might have more life experience because she's been here longer, but it doesn't mean that she has more wisdom or more knowledge about something. That's a personal thing that happens based off of what you've been exposed to in your life. And even still, in a marriage relationship, there is a role for the husband and a role for the wife that God graced you with, that the wife can't walk in and the husband can't walk in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, vice versa, yeah.
Yeah, so the husband can't be the wife and the wife can't be the husband. So if you're walking in the grace of a wife or a husband, the numbers, the age goes out the window. So I had to understand that, and God had to help me with that. So I was able to submit to Jalen's headship, his husbandship over me and over this family. And so the age went out the window. Yeah, I may have experienced certain things before him, but my level of submission to him has nothing to do with that. As a matter of fact, I just see it as something I can bring to the table to help both of us be strong, to make our oneness even greater, even tighter. And I never used that as something lord over him. And his relationship with God is different from mine. He hears from God differently than I hear from God. He gets direction from God for his family, and I submit to that. And I am his wife, so God speaks to me as his wife to help aid him in the vision that God has for him and this whole family. I am part of that vision, and I accept that. And so you got to get real technical about that, because, again, we get so caught up in the package. Oh, well, he's 4 years younger than me. What's 4 years? Like, for real, what's 7 years? It really doesn't matter. And if God is leading your path, this is like, and this is a ministry. So understand, marriage is a ministry. Okay, it's a ministry. It's not something you do because it's trendy to do. Marriage is a ministry. And if God is calling you into the ministry with a particular person, then bump what everybody else think about it. Let's just be honest. Now, I'm not promoting disrespect to your parents or your leadership, things like that. There's also a grace to walk in that too. When I was believing God for our relationship, I can remember going before God. Before, I knew it was him. When I was having these feelings and thoughts, I said, okay, Lord, if you want Jalen and I to be together, I need for you to place this desire of mine also in the hearts of those that will be stewarding our relationship. And I was talking about my parents, which also happen to be my pastors, his parents, because I desired for our families to get along. I desired for our families to bless our relationship, because I respect them as people and men and women of God. I respect them a lot. So I didn't want no conflict. I didn't want no contention. But at the end of the day, whether or not my parents were like, green light, go, there's an element where you got to step. I'm so careful about this, because I never, again, I'm going to say this again, I do not condone disrespect. I believe God honors people that honor their parents, that honor their leadership, because that's so important to God. And if you're walking in honor towards your parents and your pastors and your leaders, God will give you favor. He will. And he can turn the hearts of people that may initially be against it.
Yeah.
But praise God, our parents were not against it. So it worked. And as a matter of fact, it was my father that came to me and I talk about this a lot. We talked about it a lot in our stories, but my father was the one that came to me and said, your mom and I was praying. He put Jalen on our hearts and you can marry him. And those were his words. And I had no previous conversation with my father about my feelings about Jalen, about marrying him or anything like that. So I knew this was God. But it was because I was willing to be honorable. I put it at God's feet and left it there. I didn't spend all my days pining over whether or not it was going to happen or not. I was at the resolve that if it wasn't Jalen, then God got something better for me. Like, that's just how it is for me. And here we are today. And our age is not a factor for us. Again, we only talk about it because it's a fact that we are an age gap. And people ask us about it because people just want to know, does it work? It works for us because we apply the principles of marriage to our relationship.
The main question you want to ask yourself is can this work because he's younger than me? Can this work because is he a husband? Look for those attributes. She just did a great masterclass on how to, a husbandman and being the head of the house, all that kind of stuff. These attributes you look for. We've done videos on this, so keep watching our channel, especially the art of submission. That's a good one we did on that. But if he's got the attributes of a husband, then he's a husband, and he's safe. Someone to submit to, he's safe to marry, regardless of his age. There are men twice my age who I run, to say this in a bad way, I run spiritual circles around. I'm just way more spiritually mature, mentally mature, and things like that. And are there a lot of guys, younger guys in the early 20s like that? Not necessarily. I don't know. They exist. I was one of them, but that ain't everybody. And you can't just make assumptions, and you can't let these things about, younger guys are better in bed, or younger guys are more fun, or younger guys that none of that
or
matters.
They're so immature they can't do this, whatever.
Yeah, so this all that is like those are people's experiences repeated over and over again. You can't get married to anybody of any age based on everybody else's experiences. Based on what your parents did, that can't be the reason. It's got to be a vision from God.
Because if that's the case, we all know that there's a statistic that says that 50% of marriages end in divorce. So that's half. I mean, so you got a 50-50 chance that your relationship is not going to work. Now, we promote and say that marriage work 100% of the time when you do it God's way. So age, it don't matter, your background, whatever. If you're not doing it God's way, it's not going to work.
It ain't going to work. And I'll say this, because one time we got someone, like a private question, someone asked about, they were kind of struggling back and forth. They've been praying and fasting about it, and it was someone with an age gap, and they just didn't know. When it comes to struggle like that, just release it.
Yeah.
Just let it go, put it on the shelf. We actually did that regarding each other, just before we ever talked to each other about liking each other. But we were both back and forth about this for reasons of age gap and things like that. And sometimes when it gets so contentious in your brain, and you're thinking about it so much, it's hard to hear the voice of God clearly a lot because you're louder and you don't know what's God, what's you, and all that. When that happens, give yourself some peace. You just got to release and let it go. Yeah. Just go to God and say, look, I don't know what I'm hearing right now. I don't know what's right, what's wrong. I'm letting this go. You bring this back up to me, Lord, when it's time to deal with it, because I'm not about to hop out here and make a bad decision. And you let it go. And then God will bring it right back around. That's what he did for us. So if it gets contentious in your brain like that, just be willing to release it and let it go. And there's maturity in that because you can't be afraid that you're going to miss out on something or lose something or lose out on a person because you don't make a fast enough move. To segue into the other person's question, which I'm sure we kind of answered, but they were saying that they were just in general afraid to date guys younger than them simply because of what everyone else thinks. They themselves, she herself doesn't have a problem with it because she's seen lots of attractive, mature, godly men. And everyone's got a different definition of what's mature and godly. But
you may say you don't have a problem with it, but I believe you do have a problem with it because your problem is caring what other people think about it. Yep. So you do have a problem with it because if you didn't, you just go ahead and do it.
And honestly, look like this. That actually is the only problem, really.
Yeah.
Because you're always worried about if it was normal, we would never ask the question.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Like nobody argues, I'm going to marry a man. I'm going to marry a human man. So yeah. That's normal. We don't argue about those issues. But when it comes to this, there is an issue if you think about what others think about more. What is your fear behind that? Like, do you feel insecure about yourself? Do you feel like, you're not going to measure up? Because I'll be honest, like, way, 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 way before Jalen was in the picture, and when I was, a teenager and stuff, and I was building my list of what I thought I wanted in a husband, how he was going to look, all these attributes, I literally had to tear it up to get God's view on it. But when I was building it myself, I built certain things in there because I felt like I needed that to be accepted. Because I had personal issues with being accepted by other people. I had a lot of insecurities growing up. So I felt like I needed something that would prove to people that I was good enough. So I needed an extra man. I needed him to look this way, be this, have this, whatever, so that I can walk around with my head up, because of my own insecurity about, these things. So it's not ironic that I would marry into a situation that literally took faith for me because of who I was and what I was dealing with to walk in. But long story short, 4 years later almost, he is definitely proven to be the man for me. He's definitely proven to be the right choice. But it was a leap of faith because it went against what I thought I needed for myself. So I had to submit to God's will for me. I had to submit to God's list for Cacie. And I'm so glad that I did because I'm not missing out. And all those insecurities, all those fears that I had, they're all gone. But I had to surrender what I thought. And I had to surrender the fear of what other people would think about my choices. And the funny thing, I was only thinking about the people that really wasn't in my corner anyway. Like, for real. Those people that weren't even really part of my life, or they had moved on, whatever. But I was thinking I need to prove to them on the other side that Cacie doing all right. And that's not how we're supposed to live. The only person we ought to be living up to their thoughts about us, and that's God. That's the only person. If he's pleased with me, then that's all that matters. So to say you don't have an issue, you really do. So you need to work on that and ask yourself, why do I care what other people think about in a situation like this? Especially if you're, and we're going to say legal, please be legal. Okay? Legal is important.
Yeah. But no, but you don't gotta date a younger guy.
You don't.
You say you see different guys, they seem like they're good prospects. You see a lot of them. I guess you're in a better position than a lot of women who say that there's no good men around them. But I will say this, when you're looking at someone and one of those things pop up like, oh, they're a different race and I'm not sure if I'm into someone different race, or, oh, they're not tall enough, or, oh, they're younger than me. Take away that one external thing that can't be controlled, because those are all things that they can't control their age, they can't control their race, they can't control, all that. Take away the thing that can't be controlled and look at all the spiritual attributes and kind of close your eyes, think about all that. And if everything about them says, yes, this is a good man, godly man, husband, man of God, and then open your eyes and say the only thing that's a problem is this one external attribute that they can't control, then you realize, okay, there's a problem here. I'm not saying that that person is automatically your husband, but that kind of shows that bias that you've got built into you. And a lot of times it's built by our environment, how we were raised, things like that. And that shows you, okay, this is a hang up for me. And even if you never do marry someone younger than you, because again, you don't have to, and it ain't for everybody. But just sometimes dealing with those hang ups and those issues and those biases that we have will open your eyes to realize, okay, wait a minute. Let me be open to what God wants to present to me that I can be shutting myself down to. Because I guarantee you, if it's a younger man is an issue, there's a billion other issues that can be an issue too. One thing I've learned, and men and women alike, but it seems like everybody's got these red flags that have nothing to do with personality, but are all external physical stuff. Like, I'm never going to marry somebody who looks like this, talks like this, got this kind of accent. And it's like, look, I'm not saying you gotta go outside the box and try to break some mold of some sort just to be doing it. But a lot of times you shut yourself down from letting God present to you something that you need and ultimately would desire. It's like eating a food you've never eaten before. And it's like, I just hate that food. And it's like, you don't even give yourself the opportunity to desire it. You don't give yourself the opportunity to like it, not to compare people to food.
Because I mean, honestly, listen, you can encounter your future husband or wife in caterpillar stage of their life. And you be so turned off about like, I ain't married no caterpillar, like, and you can walk away from it and you don't know that they're right at the edge of getting to that cocoon and turning into the most beautiful butterfly. And then when you see like that butterfly, like, is that the same caterpillar that I saw? And then you be like, oh man, I missed out. Let me tell you, when I met Jalen, he was definitely a caterpillar. Definitely was. Like, probably more. Well, never mind. I ain't gonna say that. But he was definitely a caterpillar, like for real. But God gave me literally a vision of him. Gave me inside sight of who he is today and who he is continuing to grow into. And I'm so glad I didn't run away from the caterpillar, the fuzzy, chunky little caterpillar, you know, and now here he is sprouting wings and, you know, just beautiful to me. Now, you ain't got to agree, but to me, he is beautiful and he is the man of God that I always dreamed of being with. But if I had gotten scared because his caterpillar state was like, no, I don't know. That's when you got to get into your cocoon and go before God and get God's vision, his words about that individual. And that's what you look at, that's what you speak, and that's what you stand on. No matter what everybody else is thinking or saying. Because I'm sure people standing from a distance probably said too, why is Cacie dealing with this dude? Like, why is she marrying him? But I don't care. I don't. But the fruit of my obedience is now manifesting itself. And I'm just so glad that I was obedient, and I like caterpillars, so because they turn into butterflies.
But so now there's a question. We get this a lot too. It's like we did one of our videos on Marry a Younger Man, and people were like, well, dang, I've been putting away so many relationships because they're younger. Maybe I should have talked to those guys. So then the question becomes, well, how do I know? How do I know that it's a caterpillar about to become a butterfly, or if it's just a scrub? How do I know? Again,
The Holy Spirit.
about to say, it's not about like, okay, well, now I just need to start dating a bunch of younger guys. No, we don't believe in serial dating. We believe in find that one person, marry them, and that's the point. We getting to know each other so we can get married.
Trust
but
God.
Yes, but what I said at the beginning of this, getting a vision from God. That's what's important. When you get an individual in front of you, ain't about other stuff. Is there a vision from God? And if you ain't got peace about that, then you move on. But it's not about the age. It's not about the race. It's not about all this other stuff. It's about, do you have a vision from God? Because God will give you a vision that you will fall in love with. Because what I don't want you to think is, okay, that means I got to marry someone that I think is ugly. And then over time, God's going to make me love them. We're not talking about that. We're talking about God giving you a vision of a person. Because remember I talked about I had a vision? I didn't have anything external about Cacie as a problem, but there was like certain personality traits that I was like, okay, do I really want to be married to someone that has this trait or this trait or this trait or not, you know, things that I would see as criticisms of her personality. And then that's when I got that vision from God, because I said, I'm not going to be back and forth. I'm not going to marry this woman and then later on be like, oh, I regret it because blah, blah, blah. So I know who she is. Let me get a vision from God. And he showed me a vision that made me fall in love with her. So what I'm saying is you get that vision before you get married to somebody. Absolutely. And that's when you get married, when you have that vision, because life is a faith project. And that's what you go with. So it's not like, oh, I got to suffer. I got to marry the worst looking person, and then God's going to suffer, and then God's going to reward me by transforming them to something else. That's not how that works. We're not promoting that. What I'm saying is you need to learn to trust God. You need to learn to trust God and get a vision from Him.
And most times you will find that you like things that you say you don't like now, but you actually do like them, but it has never been presented to you the right way before.
You don't know because you've never been married before.
Exactly.
I mean, okay, there are people who've been divorced and that. I'm just saying in general, people that we're talking to, you never been married before. So how do you know what you like? How do you know what you can live with? How do you know what's your preference? You really don't know. And 90% of us got our own list that we never asked God about.
Exactly.
And that's the truth of it. It's time to dump our list. We need to make a video on that. Burn the list and let God give you a list. Actually, He's not going to give you a list. He's going to show you a vision, and He's going to present it in a person. It's going to make you go, huh, okay. But God is never going to give you something. I can't even say that, because if I say this, it's going to lead to a whole nother lesson that I don't have time to explain. But God is never going to give you something disappointing.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say it like that.
Exactly.
God's never going to give you something disappointing. He's in the blessing business. He's going to bless you with something. He's never going to disappoint you. So I'll just leave it at
Pressed
that.
down, shaken together, and running over type of joy and pleasure and fulfillment. That's the kind of God that we serve, and I hope that you serve, because that's what you can expect when you trust God wholeheartedly. And that's really the key to this. You know, this is the wrap up of this conversation. The key to this is wholeheartedly trusting God with your heart, with your life, and trust that He's not going to make a mistake with you. And don't worry about what it was hard, whatever. It's so, you're going to come under challenges. Nothing good as you get in your life is going to not come from under some sort of pressure.
Oh, of course.
Okay. Diamonds are made through pressure. Okay. And if you can withstand the pressure with the grace of God, then you're going to come out a diamond. Your relationship will come out a diamond. You know, y'all, if y'all seen our stories, you know we've had our struggles, we've had issues, but not one time did I say, I married the wrong person. I know he's the right person for me because I trust God enough to believe that God would not give me something that was going to harm me. But I am responsible for nurturing, for developing this relationship. God can give you something great, but you have to maintain it. You have to care for it. You have
It's the parable of the talents.
Yeah.
He gives you something. A talent is great, but you're supposed to multiply it into something greater.
Exactly.
He never gives you something in its finished product. He gives it to you in some measure of a seed form that you're supposed to take and nurture it into something greater. So you're looking for the perfect husband finished on the wheel. That's not what you're going to get. He's going to be better as a result of being with you. You're looking for a reward. He's giving you a project.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying he's going to be ugly. I'm not saying he's going to be a trash individual. He's going to be a bad man because he's still got to have those husbandman qualities. But he must be greater after a few years of being with you than when he started. Or maybe you were the problem, not him. But yeah, praise God. So yeah, that's what we got going. This video is a lot longer than expected it to be, but this is a touchy topic for people.
So hopefully that was helpful to both of those questions.
And hopefully we stayed on target with that, but it may spark a billion more questions because we start talking about the age gap thing. It's a big thing. And we've done videos on this before, so I would encourage you, go find a playlist that says why I married a younger man. You can probably get more questions answered if you got any more, but praise God. Thank you for watching this video. If you got any questions, DM us on Instagram. Let us know if you want to be anonymous, or you can just leave a comment below if you don't want to be anonymous. Or you can also email us if you want to be anonymous at jalenandcacie@gmail.com. Got a prayer request, text to pray to 797979. If you're outside of the U.S., go to raptureministries.org/prayer to fill out your prayer request, whatever that might be. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. The bell is important if you want to know whenever we release a new video. Make sure to read the new book, The Abiding Word Principle, by our father, Dr. Dale Davis. It is a great book, short read, but very good read that will change your life forever. So make sure you download that. Link is in the description below. Also the registry for our baby, little JJ. So hit that up. We appreciate you guys. We love you, and we'll see you next video. I'm Jalen.
And I'm Cacie.
We're saving marriages one story at a time.
You're my girl, you're the type of woman to make a man get right. You're my world, you keep my mind spinning on food and